What's up, Coaster Demons? Today I will be talking about my top 10 roller coasters in Virginia. I recently did a trip back to Virginia, about 2 weeks ago actually, where I went to Kings Dominion and Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. I also went to Six Flags America on the way home, but that's not in Virginia. But it was overall a really, really good trip. I have been to both of these parks before. Went to Busch Gardens, Williamsburg in 2018, so it's been a while, so I was really happy to get back to there. And the last time I was at Kings Dominion was in 2019, so it's been a bit since I've been back there as well. But it was overall a really fun trip. I got to ride Pantheon finally, which was a brand new credit. Got to ride all Busch Gardens, Williamsburg's major coasters, and got to go Marathon, I-305, and Twisted Timbers too. I got a lot of rides on those when I went to Kings Dominion. But anyways, now let's just get into the list. Here are my top 10 roller coasters in Virginia. Number 10 is Tempesto. I used to like this ride a lot more than I do now. My rides this year were just kind of disappointing. The back row ride I had on it was actually pretty bad, as I got stapled really hard and the whole ride hurt. However, my front row ride was much better. It was smooth, pretty intense, and the launches are very powerful, and the hang time on that top-end version is really good. However, this ride wasn't as intense as I remember when I rode it this time. It was more intense in 2018, I found it to be. This is overall still a very fun coaster. I really do enjoy it. Make sure to sit in the front row on this. In the back row, it's not good, but in the front row, it is good. Overall, Tempesto is a very fun ride that I really do enjoy. Number 9 is VERBOLTEN. How in the world do people call this thing a family coaster? This is by far for sure a thrill coaster. This ride actually is really intense in the indoor section. Like, the helixes and the turns, like, they pull some really good forces. And the one turn out of to go into the other turn has a really good whippy transition. The drop tack is also really good, and I love the lighting effects on this ride and the soundtrack. The drop track section is really cool, how you're, like, moving forward, and then, like, the lights go out, and then there's a flash of light, and then you drop. The restraints I also found on this ride to be very open. Like, you could get a lot of room. Best part of this ride is the indoor section for me. That section is just really intense. But that final drop, like, by the river, is actually really good in the back row. Like, I got some really good ejector time on that drop. Even this little dip right here, actually, I got some solid airtime. The launches are actually very underrated on this ride. I just don't know how people call this thing a family coaster. This is a really good ride, in my opinion. That indoor section is really good. There's 3 actually really good moments of airtime. There's these turns, for some reason, are a lot of fun too. The restraints are very open, I found them to be. This is just overall a great ride, and I really enjoyed it. Number 8 is Dominator. Before I rode this 2 weeks ago, this was my number 4 forest coaster. I had it ranked behind Rougarou, Hydra, and Medusa at Great Adventure. But after re-riding it, this is by far my favorite forest coaster now. Back row, left side on this ride is the magic seat for sure. That drop is so whippy in the back row, and all the inversions are very whippy too on that side. However, in the back row, all the inversions are very whippy. However, one thing I will say is this is a morning ride, in my opinion, because the vertical loop and the Cobra Roll give a great hang time in the morning. The drop off the mid-course is actually really good too, as you get some great flow ejector on there. I love the corkscrews on this ride. They're so whippy in any row you sit in, like, especially the back row, though. They are extremely whippy in the back row. This ride is actually very forceful. I found it to be snappy at some moments too. It's decently intense. It is by far the most intense forest coaster I've ridden. Overall, Dominator is a great ride that you should definitely check out when you go to Kings Dominion. Number 7 is Loch Ness Monster. When I first rode this in 2018, I did not like it at all. I found it to be rough, had headbanging, and it was just had no other good elements other than the interlock loops. However, my ride on it this year, I got 2 rides on it, were absolutely amazing. The drops gave great ejector airtime in the back row, or great flow ejector airtime. Like, the interlocking loops were very forceful. This indoor section right here, for some reason, the helix pulled some really good forces. I found it too. But my favorite part of this ride is the first drop in the back row that has great ejector airtime. Like, you get absolutely tossed out of your seat on that drop. I really like the interlocking loops too. Those pulled some great forces. This ride also is not rough at all either. I don't know why I used to think it was rough. This ride is butter smooth. This is my second favorite aero looper I've ridden. I still give the edge to Tennessee Tornado just because I find that ride to be a bit more intense and aggressive. But Loch Ness Monster is still an absolutely amazing aero looper. As I said, it has great airtime. It's also very forceful, I found it to be, on the interlocking loops. This is overall just a great aero looper. As I said, it's the second best one I've ridden, only behind Tennessee Tornado. But this ride is still great. It is definitely it's a classic for Busch Gardens Williamsburg, and it's a ride you should definitely check out when you go to the park. Number 6 is Griffin. Now, I loved this ride back when I rode it in 2018, and I knew I would still love it again when I re-rode it. I thought it would rank right around the same spot. It did rank before where I had it, but oh my god, this thing moved up so much for me. The airtime was all ejector on every drop, on every airtime moment. It was strong ejector too. The ride pulled some really good forces and was very intense. The ride had great hang time. This is probably the best dive coaster in the world, to be honest. It is amazing. Every airtime moment, as I said, just gives either ejector airtime or flow ejector airtime. No floater on this ride at all. Actually, there's floater coming out of the inversions. Yeah, so there's airtime all over this ride. It is just amazing. And with those regular B&M over-the-shoulder restraints, you get great room on this ride. This thing just takes an absolute crap on Valraven. I don't know how people think Valraven is better than this thing. I've ridden both, and I could say that Griffin is a billion times better than it. Griffin's in my top 30, while Valraven isn't in my top 75. So yeah, that says something for sure. Overall, Griffin is an absolutely amazing coaster, and you gotta check it out when you go to Busch Gardens Williamsburg. What an amazing ride. Number 5 is Apollo's Chariot. Before I re-rode this was my 4th favorite B&M Hyper. I had it ranked behind Diamondback, Goliath, and Candemonium. However, after re-riding this moved all the way up to my favorite B&M Hyper. Oh my gosh, this ride is absolutely insane. I never got a back row ride on it until I re-rode it this year, and it was absolutely insane. I got a total of 7 rides on this thing, and every single ride was just absolutely amazing. The drop in the back row is in really good ejector airtime. Same with the drop in the back row off the McCourse. That has really good ejector airtime as well. The pull over the hills on these rides, like, you get dragged over the hills, and you get strong airtime when you're going down the hill. The helix on this ride also pulls some really good forces. This ride is very smooth. This ride is very close with Diamondback for me. It does beat out Diamondback because it is my favorite B&M Hyper. The reason why the Apollo's Chariot does beat out Diamondback for me is because I found Apollo's Chariot's airtime to be sharper than Diamondback's. Both have equally as strong airtime in my opinion, but I just found Apollo's airtime to be sharper than it. Apollo's Chariot is just overall such an amazing B&M Hyper coaster. I love it so much. It's just an absolutely amazing ride that you have to ride when you go to Busch Gardens Williamsburg. Number 4 is Alpengeist. This is by far my favorite B&M invert after re-riding this. This ride is extremely intense. It's aggressive. It flings you through every inversion, and the drop is insane too. That Cobra roll is absolutely mental. As you if you're sitting on a certain side of the train, you get inverted ejector airtime. Right here, you get it, whipping right into it. Alpengeist is actually now my favorite B&M after re-ride. It's pretty close with Orion, but I give the edge to Alpengeist because Alpengeist is just absolutely insane. The ride is very rattly, honestly, or it is rattly, but I feel like it adds to the experience as it makes it feel more out of control. This ride is just absolutely insane. It's so aggressive, it's so intense, it numbs your feet at some moments. It's whippy through almost every inversion. This is just overall an absolutely amazing B&M invert. It is the best B&M at Busch Gardens Williamsburg, and it's a ride you for sure have to check out when you go to Busch Gardens Williamsburg. But it's not the best coaster in the park. Number 3 is Twisted Timbers. What an absolutely amazing RMC. This ride did move up actually a lot for me after my re-ride. It moved above Wicked Cyclone, Magnum XL 200, and Phantom's Revenge. This ride is just absolutely insane. Every hill gives strong ejector airtime. The inversions are whippy and aggressive. The whole ride is aggressive. The ride was actually pretty intense too, but this ride is just so aggressive and throws you around to every single element those 3 camelback hills have insane, strong, and sharp ejector air time. The finale hills right here also have sharp ejector air time that just fling you out of your seat. Every airtime moment on this ride is sharp, and it's strong too. That drop is so whippy in the back row. This is just overall an absolutely fantastic coaster. It actually is a top 2 smoothest coaster I've ridden to. This ride is it's butter smooth, but this ride is just insane. The airtime is super, super strong. Some of the strongest airtime I've experienced on any coaster, to be honest. This is just overall an absolutely fantastic coaster that you have to check out when you go to King's Dominion for sure. However, it is not the best coaster at King's Dominion. Number 2 is Pantheon. This is by far the best coaster at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. This ride is incredible. It's intense, it's smooth, it's aggressive, it's forceful. The inversions are great. The airtime is absolutely amazing. The launches are great. Everything about this ride is just perfect. It is short, but it just packs a punch throughout every single element on the ride. Every single element is good on this ride. This is my number 3 coaster overall, which actually really surprised me because I wasn't expecting this thing to make my top 5, honestly. However, it is in my top 3 currently. It is just that good. The airtime going backwards over that speed hill is insane, and going back over it when you're at full speed coming down the spike is also really good too. The top hat in the back row gives great ejector airtime going down it. The outer bank right here is great for ejector airtime. The 0G stall is insane. You get great hang time on this inversion. And then there's like this little small twister section that just whips you around. And then there's a wave turn right here that actually gives you a good airtime too. The vertical spike, I didn't talk about that yet. That is also a really good element that gives great airtime. The restraints are also very open on this ride, so you can get a ton of room and get a great amount of airtime. This is just overall an absolutely insane coaster. It is a perfect coaster for me as well. This is just overall an absolutely fantastic ride, and you must check it out when you go to Busch Gardens Williamsburg. What an amazing coaster. And finally, number 1, you guessed it, it's Intimidator 305 at King's Dominion. This ride is absolutely amazing. This is by far the most intense coaster I've ridden. That first turn right here is insane, as it's either a gray out or blackout every time you ride it. The airtime hill and the drop actually in the back row give insane ejector airtime. This snap right here also gives great ejector airtime. The snaps are crazy on this ride, by the way. They absolutely whip you through both of the snaps. This ride is just extremely forceful. It's aggressive, it's intense. It's a perfect coaster for me. This is my number 2 overall after my re-ride. It is only behind Steel Vengeance on my rankings, but this is my number 2 overall. This is just an absolutely insane coaster. Every element is amazing, and every element's whippy too. Well, the first turn isn't really whippy, I would say. Neither are the airtime hill, but all the snaps and turns are very whippy. This is just overall an absolutely insane ride. In my opinion, this is by far the best Giga coaster in the world. This is just an absolutely amazing coaster that it's so aggressive, so intense, so fast-paced. The pacing is insane on this ride, by the way. This is just overall an absolutely fantastic coaster that you have to ride when you go to King's Dominion. So yeah, that is my top 10 roller coasters in Virginia. Tell me what your thoughts are on this list. Also, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and I will see you all next time. Keep coasting on my coaster demons. Peace out.